Okay. Maybe. Yeah, there we go. I am locked in. Maybe. Sure, my streams are always kind of sloppy. It's okay. There we go. I am locked in. Maybe. All right. So, I'm gonna give it a couple seconds here. If you're watching this being uploaded, on YouTube, hello. Thank you so much for watching my video yesterday. If you're one of the like 500 people, what? That just randomly decided to watch my video. Today I'm going to be going over uh my gosh, brain's not working. I'm going to be going over the trials for today. Looks like we have the 800 women's disc final, which is one of two finals, men's high jump, men's 110 hurdles, the semifinals, um, the women's 1500 first round, 200 first round, long jump, men's 400 hurdles, men's discus, women's 400-meter hurdles, women's 3K steeple final, and then the men's 200 and the men's 5K, all first rounds. So today is basically like the first day was Friday, June 21st. With that, um, there's a lot of prelims today. Notice we still have 3 more days of competition after this, and finals built into there. The women's 3K steeple prelim was ran on Monday, and then the women's disc throw uh, will be the only other final today. So, today, what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be giving you my predictions for who I think will make it out of the quarterfinals. And then, well, everything's a quarterfinal today, except for the men's 110-meter hurdles and the 5K. Or, I mean, sorry. Yeah, and the 5K. 5K is only ran 2 rounds. I hate that it says first round and not, there it is. So you can see it there, and not quarterfinal. So, the first event of the night is going to be the men's 800-meter dash. Now, you're going to have to watch the men's 800-meter dash on Peacock, because it's not on NBC until 8 p.m. And then that's only on NBC for an hour, and then it's on USA. So just use Peacock. I think the presidential debate might be taking place of that or some other prime time show. I don't know. It's Thursday. It's summer. So, um excuse me. So, let's get into it and let's start talking here about what we are going to be doing. So, uh let's see. We have 4 different heats of the men's 800-meter dash. It's a pretty stacked field, which makes it a little more difficult to like decide who's actually going to win. Okay. So, let's break it down heat by heat and then we'll go through it there. So, the top 6 in each heat plus the next 3 fastest times advance. And then there will be 3 semifinals with the top 2 in each advancing and the next 3 fastest times. So really, this should be a pretty easy jog for a lot of these competitors. They shouldn't have to try too hard, and they should get through this first round pretty easily. So, looking at Heat 1, we got Bryce Hoppel, Ferguson, Hobbs Kessler, Sebastian Fernandez, Cass Elliott, Darius Kipiego, Christian Jackson, Robert Downs, and then Charles Jones. So, really, looking at the field here, Bryce Hoppel will probably win it. Watching Bryce through the rounds, he doesn't seem to necessarily want to conserve. He just likes to go out and run clean and win. If you watch USA Indoors from this year, that's pretty much what he did. So it was fun. I think Hobbs Kessler, I don't know what he's going to do because he's probably still going to be riding an adrenaline rush of making the team in the 15. So really, I mean, it makes sense, right? And so let's look at this first heat. Top six make it out. I think Hoppel, Wes Ferguson, Hobbs Kessler, Cass Elliott, Darius Kipiego, and probably Sebastian Ferguson. Honestly, it's probably going to be these top six that will make it out, unless one of these three really have the race of their lives. Looking at Heat 2, you got Isaiah Harris and Sam Whitmarsh. They both have the Olympic standard. It should be pretty easy for those two to make it out. After that, though, it's kind of a wild shot in the dark. Everyone's so close in time. Kidder hasn't really ran too fast this year. I mean, his PR is 144.99. He's only ran 146.52. I don't think he's been in too many competitions this year, but everyone's kind of the same time. So I think, and if you really look at most of these heats, everyone's within a second of each other. So I think these are going to be some pretty good races. Now, is that saying that we may not see some insane kicks? I think we will. So really up in the air. Vincent Chris can make it out. Darius Smallwood can make it out. Camden Marshall can make it out. I think Camden Marshall had a rough NCAA, so he may be going kind of a like a revenge tour type of thing. And then Heat 3, you got Clayton Murphy in there. You can't discount Murphy. He's pretty good at what he does. He does have a bronze medal from 2016. Brandon Miller has been doing super, super well this year. Eric Holt, who has just signed with Puma. Shout out to Eric Holt. Will shout out to Eric Holt. Will probably be doing pretty well too. So yeah, having Holt as a signed athlete, I think probably will take some pressure off of him, and I think it's going to make him run better, right? So think of it this way: when you're trying to get a sponsorship, trying to get somebody to sponsor you, give you money to run, uh, that's a stress, right? And that stressor weighs down on you. Now he may have just signed like a short-term 1-year deal, maybe till the end of the year kind of deal, with Puma. Who knows? I mean, the thing about running contracts is that they're so sketchy to begin with. Um, so I think that weight will be lifted up off of his shoulders, and I think he's going to run well. It wouldn't surprise me if he makes it to the final. Making it out of the final with a PR of 145. I don't know. I think it's going to take 143 to make the team because that's what Bryce ran this year, and I'm pretty sure he's in better shape than that. Isaiah Harris is in 144 mid shape, probably faster than that. Sam Whitmarsh, Isaiah Jewett, he ran 144 low this year as well. Shane Cohen, yeah, it's gonna be a pretty loaded field, and it's gonna be pretty exciting to watch that. So to get amped up, to get ready for the men's 800, I thought it'd be fun if we would go ahead and we would watch the race from last year. So give me 1 second here. Gonna just quick little edit here to make sure we can see most of the video. All right. Okay. So, this is the 2023 800 national title. You can see here we got Jones Jr., Isaiah Harris, you got Clayton Murphy in there, Isaiah's in there, Bryce is in there, right? So it's going to be a lot of the people who are in the race now.
Men's 800-meter final, and let's kick it off with a multi-time national champion. There he is, Clayton Murphy.
That's right, 3 times a national champion, Olympic bronze medalist, and we love
So
seeing these
Clayton,
athletes thriving
he's had a
on the
rough
track, but it's
go of
also
it
wonderful to see
ever
them thriving
since
in their
his
personal life.
phenomenal
Clayton Murphy married
2016 season.
former Oregon
He
sprinter
also now has a
Ariana
son.
Washington. They were
I
blessed
think
with their
Cash is like
first
a
son in
year and a half old now.
2022. Cash, however, was
So
born
with
at
that,
27 weeks and spent
we can get through
65
this.
days
We don't.
in the
Okay.
NICU. Happy
So
third birthday.
it's
He
been
has
kind of
bounced
rough.
back, and he's a
He's been
happy, healthy
trying to
baby
come
and a
back. He's
huge
really
part
been
of
working
Clayton's
on it.
inspiration for what's
I
awaiting him.
hope,
Dismiss
because
well,
he's an
looking
Ohio
forward to
guy,
making
that
another
he
team
does
debut.
well.
He's
And
going
then
to go up
obviously
against this guy that he
Bryce
is
has
used
been
to
on an
racing out of. That is Bryce
absolute
Hoppel,
roll this year.
reigning
Did
champion.
super well at
Yep,
USA's.
threatening here because
Pretty sure he
last
did
year he won his
super
very
well
first
at
world title, but then he went to
Worlds.
Worlds on this track
So
and did not
Bryce could run
win
really, really well.
heats. So it's been kind of a
So in
theme.
this we have Abraham Alverdano, Derek Holdsworth, Isaiah Jewett, Bryce Hoppel, Will Sumner, Clayton Murphy, Isaiah Harris, CJ Jones. So a little more than half are in the 800 again this year. That's why I think it's going to be so hard for anyone to make this team if you're not Bryce Hoppel. Now, Bryce Hoppel probably isn't like, man, I'm super excited. I know I'm going to make it. But I think if there's a shoe in, it's him.
Men having to step their game up of late in the men's 800. This is a great field, and the opponents are lining up hot and heavy. Isaiah Jewett, Will Sumner, the youngster, Isaiah Harris. Here we go.
So guns
USA
off.
men's 800 final.
And
Keep your eye also on the NCAA
I
champion Will
think
Sumner in lane 5.
that
He has
this
recently
year's
turned
races
pro, so his
hopefully are going
career
to be
at
cleaner
Georgia is
than like
over as
what this race
Isaiah
is.
Jewett,
This
as he
race is
typically
was
does,
pretty
decides
messy.
that he is going to the
So
front.
Isaiah
Isaiah
Jewett
Jewett, who
likes to get out
we
to the
mentioned
front.
had a really tough go at the Olympics, but he
Bryce
didn't make it to the
likes to
world
get out to
title.
the
Approaching
front
and
too.
shoving.
That's right.
Yellow
And a
flag.
flag goes up. Look at that. Uh-oh,
Clayton
flag just went up.
wants to put
CJ
himself in it,
Jones.
In trouble.
Oh, look,
right?
Clayton Murphy's throwing the elbows too. Bryce Hoppel. They're getting
So it's a
vocal and they're
very
getting physical.
messy
We haven't gone
race.
300 meters and we already have
And
trouble
that
in
probably
this
just comes with
800-meter
emotion,
final.
The only time
knowing
champion
you want
really
to make the
comes from
team,
contact
knowing you have to
sport.
be in the
Watch
correct
this.
position to do this.
CJ Jones is coming from the far side.
And let's see, they went through the first 400 in 51,
And Isaiah
51.8.
Harris in the yellow was caught in the middle of that.
Yeah, so he was kind of forcing his way through.
Yeah, in the meantime, this race has gone out extremely slowly, just
Yeah,
51
so it's a slower
So a
type
lot
of
of the
race.
kickers are thinking
And notice
perfect, and
Clayton
here comes
really
Clayton
making a
Murphy.
move, once
Pushing
again,
and heaving
dirty.
and
Bryce
pushing, lots
also
of
wanted to
pushing and
go.
shoving here. Clayton Murphy
Now,
falls back into fifth. The man in
with
the
the
yellow,
800, you really only have one
Isaiah
hard move to
Harris said,
do.
I'm not interested in
So
talking to my
it was
opponents
clear that
about tactics.
Clayton's
A few
move
of them
may
wanted to
have
go.
not
I'm not
been
interested in
like
that. I just want to
the
race straight up.
hardest,
What is going on? They can't
And
but
stop.
he wants it.
Wow.
he
This
still
has been
was
a
trying to make that
physical,
move.
somewhat
And
toxic
like
affair.
that
And
energy
Isaiah Jewett
with
leads,
Bryce
throws
cutting him
Hoppel into
off
a final stretch, and Harris is
can
in there
really
with you.
negatively
What about
affect you.
Clayton Murphy?
And you see
Is
that
it the
here
over, or does the
with
veteran get something left in the
Clayton's
tank? Hoppel goes to the front.
finish, right?
Jewett is
He's
struggling.
struggling a little
Harris
bit.
knows that
Isaiah's
Murphy's
looking.
there. Bryce Hoppel defends his 800-meter
He
national
makes the team
title.
though. Isaiah
Once
Jewett
again, though,
falls
because
back.
I don't
He
think
remember
these
he made
results are going to
Tokyo,
be official for
yeah,
a while,
Tokyo
because
back in
I'm not so
2021.
sure that the
Bryce won
folks that
again.
cross the line
He just
are
looked the
going to
smoothest.
escape a decoy. In
Now, when you're
particular,
racing
the
like
guy on your
that,
screen right
right,
now.
when
We'll
it's
see.
bumping and
But
when
for
you
right
have to
now,
go
Hoppel,
back,
Harris,
slow
and Clayton
down,
Murphy are the first to
it's
cross
hard to
the
make
line.
an
Bryce
extra
Hoppel with
move.
the infraction,
And I
Murphy on
think
Harris.
Bryce had
Ultimately,
an
I mean, that
advantage
race
when
was
he made the
insane.
move
I
and
felt like
Clayton
we
tried to
couldn't
make the
even
move
wrap
at the
our
same
minds
time
around it because there was
because
so much
Clayton had
pushing
to
and
back off.
shoving.
why Bryce was
We're
still
going to show you guys
accelerating.
that second
So it was more
instance
of a
of
one
initiation
gradual
showing
move.
that we
Right
saw
here, they're
with
going to show the
Clayton
replay
Murphy
again.
and Bryce Hoppel.
So
No
see
reason for
Clayton trying
Clayton
to
to be so
go,
close to Bryce. He has
Bryce
all
cutting
the
him
space on
off.
his outside, but Bryce
That's
doesn't let him
mentally in your
box in, and
psyche
he does
and physically,
absolutely not.
since
He
you're
puts
so
those elbows
anaerobic
up,
while running
and
the
he gets
800,
himself in good
that
position to
really
do
is
this
tough
right here when
to come back
June
from.
feels like he
Now, the
has
fact
the
that Clayton
race.
was able to get third after
Bryce
that, and
Hoppel
even the fact that Bryce was
finds
able to like
something
come
left
through with
in
a
those
victory
legs.
after that,
He has
it's
talked
kind of
about the fact
insane.
that he has big hopes
So
for the
I
men in
think,
this event. In order for
honestly,
them
in the finals, it could be that same matchup again. Now, what Clayton Murphy are we going to get? Are we going to get a healthy Clayton Murphy who knows how to win races? Or are we going to get the Clayton Murphy that is in it for 400 and then falls off the last five? So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Looking at it again, right? There's a lot of new names in here as well. Some old names as well. I think the dark horse is Eric Holt, just because since he now has that contract, I think overall he's going to get that chip off of his shoulder and be able to race way more relaxed and way more um focused on the race. The next race I want to talk about are the women's 1500-meter dash. Oh, imagine 1500-meter run. So with the women's 1500-meter run, um, whew, it's such a loaded field again. And I've said that before, but my goodness, there's quite a few women that have the Olympic standard, um, and probably some who didn't run super well in the 5K, who are really looking forward to kind of getting some redemption here. So I'm going to go through this prediction, and then we'll watch the 1500 from last year, break it down, see if we think it's going to work similarly to that of this year's. So we already did that. Get out of that. So we have three heats. So top seven, and the next three fastest to the semis. So really, about almost half of each heat is going to be making it out. So I think it can go a couple of two ways, but it's going to depend on who's in the races, right? So um, with the first heat, you have Nikki Hilt. They've been running super well. Elise Cranny, she always kind of goes wire to wire. Corey McGee, Sage Herta-Kleckler, who was probably pretty bummed from the 800. Remember, a thing fell, kind of messed up her race. So it is what it is, right? And then Ali Bookschleier, I probably Schlowski. There it is. She has been running pretty well this year as well. Grace Morris from TCU. So that first heat could be super fast. I could see Elise or Nikki taking it out and just running because when let's see, and then their round two is Saturday. Oh my goodness. Let me find it. Yeah, so no, the round two's Friday, which means Sunday is probably going to be so you could do two hard efforts 2 days in a row, especially if you know you're going to have a day in between that. So with Nikki, they like to run fast. They like to finish quick. Elise she loves running out front. And then Corey McGee is a good racer as well. I'd say those are definitely the three lock-ins for Heat 1. I also think Heat 1 could probably be the fastest. Heat 2, you got Heather McLean, Sinclair Johnson, Addie Wiley. They all have the Olympic standard. Uh, Wiley is now pro with Adidas. She was with Huntington, or she was graduated from Huntington uh, last year. That could be a fast race too. Depends on which Sinclair Johnson shows up. Sinclair has either been really good or in the very back. So it really depends with that. I think those are probably your three lock-ins. And then Lori Barton could squeeze her way in there as well as Rachel MacArthur. And then in Heat 3, you have the one, the only, Ellie St. Pierre. she'll there's no way she doesn't win the heat, right? Emily McKay, she had a phenomenal indoor season. Danny Jones has been running super well. So I really think those are like the top three locks for that heat. And I really think that those are going to be like the three that overall, or the nine overall, that are going to be vying for that Olympic final spot. It's going to be Ellie, Danny, Emily, Sinclair, Heather, Addie, Nikki, Corey, and Elise. So with that, let's go ahead and let's watch the 1500 from last year. So Sinclair was the 2022 US champion. Me cheating, right? There's Addie Wiley in the final as well. I believe that a bunch of the individuals in the final here are running again. So this is going to be more of a familiar territory, unlike with the 800, where for women's whereas brand new. Now, a thing is not in the 1500, and I'm pretty sure she's probably bummed that she decided not to pursue the 1500, especially because of what happened in the 8. So there's Danny. She's there as well still. I believe it's McKay. I could be wrong, but I think I'm right. Oh no, I was wrong. I've been wrong before. Corey McGee. She's made a couple of teams as well. So she is usually in the mix. Hiltz, they're there as well. They've really been working on their closing speed as of lately. So pretty much everyone who I was talking about that I think is going to vie for that spot was in the USATF, the US Championships last year.
Nikki Hiltz on the far right of your screen. Everyone ready to go for the Garden of Life. Women's 1500-meter final.
Oh, see? It's just a 15, Corey. Relax. All right, so they're off. Now, this race, if I remember correctly, is pretty honest. Now I haven't so let's see who's all in this. So Nikki's in this, Corey's in this, Heather's in this, Sinclair's in this, Addie's in this, Danny's in this, Emily McKay is in this. So a lot of the people who should make the team this year are absolutely in the race from last year. So last year was essentially just like a dress rehearsal if you think about it. So looking at this race, I really think that it could go out relatively similar once they get to the final. Now, they have to run 2 rounds before they get to the final, but it is what it is, right? That part of the bad part, right? So once again, it stinks that a thing is not in the 15, especially after her heartbreaking 800. So once again, so you see Nikki, they're there trying to do their best. So their first lap, everyone's first lap is 63, 65, 66, 66, well within the wheelhouse of everyone there, right? And once again, I think it's going to be similar but different. And the reason why, there are two big names who aren't in this race. Ellie St. Pierre and Elise Granny. Okay. They're some of the best runners we've ever seen in America. They wouldn't let this race go out that slow. I think they were clipping 67s for their 5K. So everyone here is going to have their hands full when Elise and St. Pierre show up. So let's see, they went through 802. Get to the line, 212. Yeah, 212. So that's what, 424 pace, which for top level performers really isn't that fast. See how they're all bunched here? that could happen.
thing, Mo, again,
However,
she's
I
been
think
kind of
with
feeling it out. Do you think she's not
Ellie
experienced
and
enough
with
to
Elise in
practice
there,
so much like this
I don't know if
before?
they
So
will
she's
let that
getting better
happen
to
because I
really
don't
dipping
think
her
that
head
they're
in the
going to
water,
let
watching
it
her own, keeping her distance,
basically
running a little outside her
come
weight class,
down to that.
sort of
Granted,
staying there. And
they
you
both
know,
probably have the
looking
best
around the screen,
kick
look at
out of
how
the field.
engaged they are, Lee. At some point, someone's
Um,
going to take this. And we see Heather McLean as well,
we'll
running on the outside,
stand
the
there.
Tokyo Olympian who's
Oh
had
yeah, I
such
was in the
stellar
stands for
success
this
this
race.
season.
I remember
She's going to
this.
move this up, and we see
I
Addie
forgot
Wiley
that I
as
went
well.
there.
Someone who's going to move very, very soon.
Nikki Hiltz pushed to the front, and now the others respond like Addie Wiley there in the bright green glasses. There's the bell.
Because I believe Danny
They're on the inside of the
Jones
steeplechase
got like
field.
clipped,
She leads
lost
the
her
field, but
shoe.
look at Sinclair Johnson. Yes,
So
she's
that
been
could play a
she's
factor
been
too,
mostly relaxed,
because
but
she
she
could
is
come back with a little
throwing
bit of
everyone through
vengeance.
right now. We see her back. She's a little box, but now
So you
she's
see
moving to the
Nikki,
outside. Doesn't have
they're
enough room.
doing their
Cannot
signature
slow this
kick.
field down.
Addie Wiley looks good, Sinclair looks good, Corey looks good, Athing looked
Confident,
good, and I
confident on
think
the inside of a thing, Mo.
that could be how we
She's
see
leaving room right now.
this
We
race
see her
go.
pass her on the
Once
inside,
again,
and
though,
Nikki is
you
using
have
that
St.
speed
Pierre
so that
and
she
Elise Cranny in
is going
there,
to make a
and
move.
I just don't think
We see Sinclair
anyone in
Johnson
this
back
field
into the mix.
can
Look out
outkick them.
wide, look out wide in the
I don't think
field.
Nikki can
There's
outkick
Sinclair
them.
Johnson
I
bringing it
know
home.
Sinclair
Nikki Hiltz,
cannot.
Maggie
Addie
Ellis
Wiley
on the
definitely can't.
inside. Mo
Corey McGee,
incredibly
she
confident.
may be able to. She
Nikki
does have
Hiltz,
some
the
foot
world
speed.
champion and Olympic
Now I
gold
do,
medalist, is leading.
I think Nikki. I
800
think they
in
get
sub 15
everyone
minutes.
here.
Hiltz in the thing, Mo. Hiltz is gonna do it. Nikki Hiltz
Yeah,
is a
and
national
Sinclair dove.
champion
That's
at
right.
1500.
So Nikki, they got the dub here.
Out of Nikki
Once again,
Hiltz.
I
Nikki
I
handles
firmly do not believe that Nikki will get the win. And it's nothing to say against them. They've been running great. However, Sinclair, she's just on there, but St. Pierre and Elise Cranny are too good. I really don't think any US distance runner on the women's side is at their level. Take the 5K, for example, right? They absolutely buried Carissa and Parker. So looking at this again, I think they do have the second fastest time. Yeah. So 3:59 to Ellie's 3:56. Danny's 4 flat. Once again, McKay been running great. 3:59. And then what is Elisa's PR this or so she's ran 4:03 this year, but I think she's better than that 4:03. Her PR is 3:58, and then Corey as well. So looking back at this race, I really think it's going to happen. Okay, so excuse me one second. I should have got more water. That's all right. Rookie mistake. Now, let's look here. So I'm not on the right day. Never am. Thursday. Thank you. So let's look at the women's 200 meter because that's the first round. Now notice so many more women in the 200 have the standard than really many other events. So you got Tamari Davis, Rosie, I always mess her name up, so I'm not gonna butcher it. Shakiri, okay. Abby Steiner. Hopefully, Abby shows up. We get the 21 Abby and not the 22 mid Abby. Heat two. Well, let's see. So top six in each heat plus next three fastest. So you just gotta be top six. So basically, okay. So that should be the nice thing about sprints though, is they tend to always be fast, right? Um, it's hard to discount Shakiri, Richardson, and Gabby Thomas. I think Gabby and Shakiri are definitely the top two favorites. And but then you gotta throw Jenna Prandini in there. She's an Olympian. Tamara Clark in there. Um, Brittany Brown, she's broken 22 before. Really, what you're gonna be looking for is women who have broken that 22-second barrier. because usually when they're in peak shape, that's when it really happens. So, let's watch the 200 from last year. So I have the men's 200 pulled up here, but let's get the women's pulled up. I don't know where my tab went. Women's 200 meter final 2023 USA. All right, let's see if. All right, so let's watch it here.
Sha'Carri Richardson is just bathing in the afterglow of the 100 final in the World Championship victory.
Oh, that's
She
the
was
World
shocked after it
Championship.
happened. She
We
was
don't want to
stunned.
watch the
Well,
World
now she's
Championship,
had
do we?
a couple of days to let it.
Of course, I'm not gonna be able to find this one again. All right, we'll come back to that one. But regardless, um, man, I had like 12 people in here at the same time. Shout out to the 12 of you. Anybody in here watching this right now, hi, I see you. I thank you. I really am loving doing these live stream things. I love track and field. Tracktown, right? Got this out at Nike Nationals. Oh, gosh, back in a while now. I had an athlete compete. I'm a coach myself. My best athlete, I'm a high school coach. My best athlete, oh man, I just lost everybody. Goodbye. Now there's only, and then there were two. All right. They're probably like, this idiot. Um, so I'll come back to the 200. Let's talk about the men's 200, and then we'll watch the men's 200 from last year. So, really cool storyline here. Sam Blaskowski from Wisconsin Lacrosse. He's a D3 guy. He was in the 100. I think he made the semis. So he got put in because there's some scratches. So, to get to the semifinals, it's going to be the top six in each heat plus the next three fastest times. So once again, you just got to be top six, and I think you'll be all right. There's 8 per heat. Now, looking at things, Josephus will probably make at least the semifinal. He's been pretty good at making finals. He just hasn't made that next step. And that's kind of the difficult part, right? It's easier to make a semi and then to the final, and then you got to make the team. Uh, so I think Heat 1 is kind of the weaker of all the heats. So I think Sam, the D3 kid, could make it through. Courtney Lindsay should pretty handily make it through. Josephus should make it through. Heat 2, got Robert Gregory, of course, Lance Lang, and then the one, the only, the showman himself, Noah Lyles, in that heat. Um, I don't know what or how hard Noah will run. 7 isn't the ideal lane draw, but like it's fine. I mean, it's no Lyles, right? He could run not the greatest first 100, and then he's going to close that last 100 and be fine. Heat 3, you got Kenny back in there, Brandon Carnes back in there, Kyrie King. They should all be pretty easy throughs. And then you in Heat 4, you have uh Knighton. Now, once again, he has a little bit of controversy going on right now. He was tested positive for something that makes your muscles grow. However, they deemed it was because of the they ate. So I'm just saying, it's all right. Christian Coleman's in this heat. I think Christian Coleman is going to be super, super aggressive, and he wants to make the team. I don't think he should have missed out on making the 100-meter team. So it is what it is. So let's go ahead. We'll watch the men's 200 from last year, break that down a little bit, and we will talk about it.
is Arian Knighton. So you'll see Noah in Budapest next month.
You have two great turn runners in 6 and 7 with
So
Knighton
the
and
important thing
Cole, so
about
look for
200
them to move early.
is going to be your lane draw. So with the 200, it's
And they're
easy.
asking
Oh,
stand up. Kyrie King put his
oh,
hand up.
Fred Curly. I was
I
kind of
wanted to ask
surprised
you about that. Are they
that
allowed
he
to put their hands up?
didn't
Is there more
actually
information about that?
sign up
Because I
to
thought in football they
run
say that the athletes are not able
the
to do that anymore.
200.
Any level.
All right, let's fast forward through this a little bit.
So here, reinforcement and
A sensation here.
he's
Okay,
already a sensation.
so think of it this way: when you're in a 200, it's like the 400. You want the middle lanes because you can see what everyone is doing around you. Now, because a lot of people think, you know, you run the 200, boom, gun goes off. You're just sprinting as fast as you can. It's not that simple. You have to know, you have to be aware of the people around you. Or else, why wouldn't you want to run in lane 9 if you're the fastest person? Or why wouldn't you want to run in lane 1 if you're the fastest person? Lane draw in the 400 and 200 are probably the most important things. The 100 is pretty important as well, but I don't think it's as vital because you don't start staggered. Everyone starts at the same plane. So when you start staggered, it makes a big deal, maybe more psychologically, because you can see the competition. So looking back at
There
this
he is right
race
there.
last year, I think we could
Not daunted
see
by the big
a
name
lot of
figures.
the same
He's the
people
big name.
in the final.
Toyota Men's 200. It's the
So Fred
final of the
Curley,
National
terrible start again.
Championship.
Christian Coleman leads off the 4x1 for the
Noah
US
had a
team.
great
Here
start.
comes the nice
There's
bend.
Christian
Here comes
right
Arian
there.
Knighton and Benari.
There's Kenny right
Put
there.
that bend on. Knighton in between them. Look on the outside in white. Here comes Fred. Is his run too late? Knighton is leading the way. Teenager Arian Knighton is a national champion. 1974.
Yeah. So Knighton ran really, really well. Remember, Lyles didn't have to run this race because he was a world champion. Um, so he already had that automatic bid. So why would you waste that energy? So Knighton is defending again, but he's not because he didn't win. So it's different race, same place, different race, right? Um, so I think he's going to run well. What heat is he in again? Okay, so he's in the same heat with Christian for the very first round. I don't think it's going to be much. I think it's going to be more interesting once we see how the lanes come out after this to the semifinals. All right, next I want to talk about the men's 5K. Now, the last thing I'm going to save is going to be the women's 3K steeple final. That's going to be a good race. We'll talk about that in a moment. So, the men's 5K, we'll talk about it, and then we'll
Coming into
watch
the closing
some
one.
highlights from last year to see kind of what happened. So, let's see what we got here. So, this is a pretty stacked field again. I mean, it's the Olympic trials, right? It should be a stacked field. So, a couple things that I think are important to note that maybe not everybody are going to know. Parker Wolf won NCAAs. How? No one really knows. He dominated. I mean, he beat Nico. He beat the Stanford kid. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. Graham Blanks, right? All these good guys. Now, one thing I want to say is Graham may be more fit now than what he was during NCAAs. He was hurt for a minute. And the fact that he was able to come back and even score in NCAAs or make it NCAAs, super impressive. I mean, he's ran 13:03, and you can tell. However, you're racing the big boys now. So, Cooper Tier, I feel like is going to be very upset. I think he's going to come out and want to rip it. Now, not in the semi, but when we get to the final. just because he did not have a great 1500-meter final. So to advance to the final, you get top 6 in each heat plus the next 4 fastest. So that's 16 total out of 31 people. So a lot of guys are going to make the final, and people who should make the final are going to make the final. So out of the first heat, Parker Wolf, Cooper Tier, Blanks, Cole Hawker, and Morgan Beatlescombe, and then Chalimo as well. If Chalimo depends on what Chalimo kind of shows up as well, because I don't know, man. He's been racing real weird lately. It's whatever. And then let's look at Heat 2. You got Grant Fisher. I don't think Grant Fisher's. I don't think he's. I don't think he's cooked. I think he's gonna be all right after that 10K. Abdi, which we're gonna talk about here in a moment. Sean McGordy, Sam Prakel, moving up. Usually a 1500-meter guy, wanted to take a stab at the 5K. If it's a sit and kick race, in any scenario, I'm not counting out Prakel. Never. Also, shout out to Versailles, Ohio. Willie Fink, he could do well. Drew Hunter, I don't know how cooked he is after that 10K. Remember that 10K? Like his face was white, his lips looked chapped. Because I mean, the dude was pushing. He was absolutely on E after that. I mean, it's been a little while to recover. I don't know how 2 rounds are going to do for him. Woody Kincaid just had a good 10K as well. Um, Ahmed from NAZ Elite could do really well as well. I'm very excited for the final. I don't think the heats are going to be fast, but I think the final is going to be quick. So let's go ahead and we will watch the last 3 minutes of this 5K. So notice Connor Mance is in there. He ran the 10K. He already qualified in the Olympic marathon. He's not going to run the 5K.
Takes the lead ahead of Rodriguez.
So there's Paul.
3 laps to go here at Hayward Field.
There's Cooper Tier back there again.
You see elbows, you get tripped up a little bit. A lot of
There's
the
Abdi.
the favorites here are on the inside.
There's Woody. There's Klecker.
Outside, and look who's following him and shadowing him is Joe Klecker, who's used to being outkicked by Woody Kincaid.
And I think Klecker has been injured, so that's probably why he's not even in this.
To spin that and be the one that chases him down.
Renawicki is in the middle there, all in the purple colors.
So notice, even at, what are they, probably a half mile to go, they're still super bunched.
Abdi Nur is an excellent runner. He made that world championship team last year, and he and Woody Kincaid are training together. They've been training together.
Oh, they have a K to go.
They know each other well.
And they're still that bunched.
Well. Also note, Cooper Tier is still in great position here. He really has hung out on that rail. The room has opened up, and he looks good and relaxed to try to make this team.
So this race is going to go differently than this one for the fact that Grant Fisher is in it. Cole Hawker will probably be in it. Yeah. I mean, Woody Kincaid does have a good kick, but does he have a Cooper Tier kick? Does he have a Drew Hunter kick? I don't think so. Not in 5K. Now, over 10K? Probably. Because that's enough to run the speed out of everyone's leg. Also, I think Woody is in way better shape this year than what he was in 2023.
Abdi Nur has turned up the heat coming into the final lap. Connor Mance is hanging with them. So too is Paul.
Yeah, Connor did run really well. For a marathoner, guy has some speed. See, Cooper Tier, he put himself in it, but like not enough.
He needs to move out and move up a little bit. We know that he rides that pain train and then he is able to find that kick, but he needs to be in contention. And now we see Cooper Tier going around Connor Mance.
And I really hope Cooper Tier runs well. I hope he makes the Olympic team. Because, man, he just seems like such a cool dude. It's my whole personal preference with that.
They're on their way home. There's Muhammad. Goes past
Klecker back there. He was really trying.
Set the pace for everybody else to chase. Can he hold it to the end?
This is the race a lot
Woody
of people
just
are
did
like,
not
he
have a good
believes in
race. He
himself
didn't have
and
a
he has
great
trained so
2023
well. He's been
campaign.
so strong over the last year after becoming a
Chalimo.
professional, and he is
See
showing it right
which
now.
Chalimo are we gonna get? Because if we get a Chalimo like this,
Unfortunately, that
he
world
might.
standard has
But
gone.
also, we're at
They will have
1310,
time to make it up
1311.
before the World
I don't think
Championship.
1310.
Steeplechase
I think
now.
1310 or faster is gonna
Lopez
win.
is digging deep. He
Based on
wants
the
a world
10K,
national title
based
in
on
this distance. Oh my
the
goodness.
1500,
Abdi Noor holds him off.
a
And the
lot
winner
of
for the
distance
US
races,
title.
especially on the men's
Derek
side,
Edward Field
um,
from the
are moving towards a more honest race. Now, on the women's side, it usually always tends to be a more honest race rather than a sit and kick race. Historically, if you look at the data year after year after year, and it really doesn't even matter like what level, high school, D1, D2, D3, NAIA, generally, women's races just tend to be quicker in nature for some reason. I don't know why, but it's true. If you don't believe me, go back and look it up. So, looking at this, man, I really think that the first heat is a little bit harder to make it out than heat two. Um, However, if you're supposed to make it out, you're probably going to make it out because I don't think Fisher will wait around too long. I don't think Prake will wait around too long. Tom Brady, not Tom Brady, but like a Tom Brady. Their infographic on him is crazy. All right. So let's talk about the women's 3,000-meter steeplechase on at 10:18 p.m. EST. Uh, so if you're planning on watching the presidential debate, well, you're gonna miss the race. Just watch the race instead. I don't know. So this is a tough race. I don't know who is gonna make this team. There's a lot of ladies with the Olympic standard, but based on how the prelims went, it's kind of up in the air. Really, um, I want Chrissy Gear to do well. She ran fast at the right time last year, right? She ran 9:12:81. I think that's when she ran that was last year. Um, Gabby Jennings looked good. Olivia looked good. Who else looked good in the semis? The Chrissy Gear did not look good in the semis. I didn't think she was gonna make it through, if I'm being quite frank. Courtney looked great. So I really think Courtney Wayment may win. It just makes the most sense to me. And following that though, I mean, if you just look at times, Valerie should make it, Olivia should make it, Gabby should be in the mix. And aside from that, and then Chrissy should be in the mix. So really, if you're someone like Ali Ostrander, someone like who else? Angelina Ellis, right? You may not have that Olympic standard. You may not have the fastest time in the field. You're really hoping that someone like Kaylee, Valerie, Olivia, Gabby, you're hoping those women have a bad race. Because if they have a bad race, that's going to afford you the opportunity to sneak in to get that third spot. Now, note, I think 9:23 is the Olympic standard. And I think Ali Ostrander is the closest one. Yeah, who doesn't have the standard yet. But I think she could get it as well. So we'll see. Um, Overall, I think this is going to be one of the best races that we see. And this is going to be a whole new team, essentially, that we sent to the Olympics. Now, Chrissy went to the World Championships last year. But in terms of Olympic wise, because, you don't have Courtney, you don't have Emma, you don't have, oh, who's the third on that team? from 2021. Who was the third on that team? USA 2021 Olympic steeplechase team women. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, here we go. We'll say, yeah, I know Emma won. Oh, and Constantine. That's right. Okay. Yeah. So like looking at everything, Valerie can make it again, but I think she's gonna have not the hardest chance, but she should make it, right? Um, I don't know. It's a tough situation. What am I doing? Losing my mind. Okay, so with that, let's do a speed run real fast of the sprint events. I'm biased towards distance. I'm a distance guy myself. I love coaching distance, but I also coach sprints. 110-meter hurdles. Honestly, this meet's gonna be Grant Holloway's to lose. It always is. Now I know he's mad because of what had happened um back in Tokyo, right? He didn't win, which is weird. Um, so these numbers here, those denote their world rankings. So to get to the finals, are these semifinals? Okay, so three semis, top two in each semi, and then top three fastest advance. So basically, you want to be top two. So, wow, a lot of Olympic standards here, huh? So, Grant, if you watched him in the very first round, it really is his meat to lose, right? He's so good. Cameron Murray's really good too. It's kind of crazy that he's unattached. And then Dylan Beard, I think it's going to be basically between, and then Cordell Tinch. It's going to be between these four in that first heat. Heat two, you have Freddie Crittenden, Trey Cunningham, which Trey tends to always show up. Uh, you got Luff in there, Scott in there. So once again, probably the middle four. And then Heat three, you got Daniel Roberts in there, Michael Dickinson's in there, Jamal Britt is in there. So it really, I think it's going to be a race between Britt and Roberts, and then time wise, right? So aside from Grant, I don't think really anyone else is a shoe in for the final, especially because it's top two and then three fastest. So when you're in a semifinal as a sprinter, in theory, you want to be in a slow heat, right? And the reason behind that is because if you have an off day, you still have the chance to be top two, right? I mean, so if Holloway runs 13 flat, right? Let's say he runs 13 flat. Cordell Tinch is the only one with a PR faster than that. So as you get through the rounds, it's advantageous if you're in a slower heat. It just makes sense. All right. Let's go high jump. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't really follow high jump. So I'm not going to speak upon something that I don't really know about. Very niche. Women's long jump, kind of the same thing. Women's disc or men's disc gonna be kind of the same thing. I do know that Reggie Jaeger, very good. I do know that, and I know Evans is very good as well. It's so crazy looking at the disparity though of like who is unattached and who is attached or who has a sponsor in field events because the discrepancy of sponsors from track events to field events is super high. Like and then go a step further with sprinters and distance runners. I think distance runners tend to have more sponsorship opportunities than that of sprinters. I don't know why. Uh, some of my theories are anyone can run a mile, anyone can run a 5K, right? You can relate to a distance runner because you're like, oh man, I can go run a mile. I can go compete in my local 5K. Oh man, I saw Cole Hawker wearing vapor flies. I need to give me some vapor flies. Now, if I see Fred Curley wearing a pair of Pumas or Nikes or whatever, right? I had to be in a very specific situation to wear a pair of Nike spikes. But if I see Eric Holt, if I see Eric Holt running 800 and I'm like, "Oh man, he's a distance runner." So he must train in whatever Puma's distance spikes are, or I mean, sorry, distance shoes are, the nitros. I can go get a pair of nitros. So it just makes sense, like, right? It's that the marketability. Ooh, can't talk today. Okay. So, with that, I may try to live stream while the meet's going on. The early part, so about 7:30 to 9. So I'll probably get through the men's 800, men's. Oh yeah, so I'll get through a couple. So I'll be on here. I'm gonna live stream some of that, give my commentary on it. Because if I'm being honest, the commentators that NBC pays are kind of annoying. God, they're just not good. So I'm gonna give my live reaction. That's gonna be a little more fun. Uh, I'm pretty confident if I show the race, I'm gonna get copyright struck. Even though, can you get copyright struck on a live stream? I don't know that. I'm gonna figure that out. Let's look right now. Can you get copyright rated on live stream? Hmm, that didn't make sense. So we'll figure it out. But until then, I'm gonna hop off here. I will be back on at about 7:15, getting ready to go, and everything like that. So if you're one of the people that watch this, thank you so much. I think I had like 12 people in here, which doesn't seem like much, but for me, hey, that's a lot. Um, thank you so much, and I'll see you guys in a couple hours.